Hello and welcome back to LeeReader. My name is Lee, if you hadn't already guessed, and today I think we should talk. So I've been wanting to do this on my channel for a little while, you know, discuss book problems and the book world with you guys, and we can discuss them in the comments and we can just chat about things. So I thought I'd start that today. So in today's I Think We Should Talk, I'm going to be discussing adults who read YA. Now I know I'm not the first person, and I definitely won't be the last person to touch on this subject because it is so taboo, almost. It is something that just needs talking about. There are a lot of people in the world who seem to have a big issue with other adults, like myself, reading young adult fiction, and I don't really understand why. Now admittedly, as I've gotten older, my YA reading has shortened quite a bit, but I still appreciate what young adult books are and what they do. I personally am a big fan of YA fiction, and I have no trouble with anyone who reads it, whether you're 19 or you're 90. It doesn't matter, because you're reading and stories are stories. But personally, I think there are three key elements as to why adults enjoy reading young adult fiction. First of all, their subjects. I think YA is great for introducing people to things that they might not have touched on before. I think there are a lot of great YA novels that introduce you to a world that you may not have thought about before, and things that are happening in the world that you may not have thought about before. These include things like sexuality, gender, love, friendship, all these subjects that you kind of come into as you get older that you may not have experienced as a child. They're a great way to sort of start off and sort of read about and try and get to know these subjects. I think YA does a great job of introducing both teenagers and adults into things that they don't have maybe thought about before, which I think is wonderful because you're learning, and I think that's a massive pro for me. I also think that YA is a great transitional step into bigger genres, like you have YA fantasy, YA romance, YA drama. YA can mix with a lot of things, and once you mix them and you enjoy something, you can maybe branch off into something a bit more serious. For instance, I really enjoyed the Hunger Games series. I was reading that when I was a teenager, and now I really like things with dystopian worlds, and I'm moving on to things that are purely sci-fi and fantasy, that aren't like adult-wise. But reading the Hunger Games helped me sort of in that transitional period where I can kind of understand it in an easier way. I think sometimes jumping straight into adult books can be a little bit mind-numbing, so using YA as that transitional period is a great resource. The second reason I think adults read YA is because there are books in that category that they have loved before. Like I said, I'm a really big fan of the Hunger Games series, but I read them when I was like 19, 20 years old, and I still love them even at 25 going on 26. But the thing is, I enjoyed them so much that I wanted to find books similar to them, and books similar to the Hunger Games series are also classed as YA. So it means going down that route again. But to me that doesn't matter because I enjoy them and I'm looking for stuff that I enjoyed. I am also a massive fan of John Green's writing because, again, I started reading John Green's books when I was like 18, 19, and I enjoyed them then and I still enjoy them now. So I'm always looking for books that are very similar to that because I enjoy them and they just make me feel good. And I think that's a massive player in this game. But the third and final reason, and I think this one is the biggest for me, is escapism. Now, if you're like me, you don't entirely enjoy being an adult all of the time. We have bills to pay, we have jobs to go to, we have things to worry about now, and sometimes reading a YA book just reminds you of what it was like to be a teenager. It takes you back to those times when you didn't have these worries, when your biggest concern was what you were going to do on the weekend, and that was just I'd love to have just that problem again. What are my plans for the weekend? Because there is so much stuff in the adult world to worry about, not just in your own life but in the world in general. Like there are elections going on right now in the UK, and there are wars starting and carrying on, and the world can just sometimes be just a weird, horrible place for an adult. And reading YA, reading from a teenager's perspective, sometimes just makes you feel like a teenager again and that you want to be a teenager again. And it's just this massive sort of release from the real world, and I think that is a major player. And some people see this as a bad thing. I personally don't. I think if you want to escape the real world and you want to get away from being an adult, I will always go and find some YA fiction to read, because it's just this, it's like a big stress has just been relieved off you, and you can just go back to like being at school or college or university and just enjoying and remembering about those times that you had, and that to me is wonderful. At the end of the day, a story is a story, and stories are what help us through life. Stories are just everywhere in our lives. We all have our own story, but sometimes it's nice to read someone else's and get away from our story a little bit if we're not liking how it's going. So those are my thoughts on adults who read YA. Let me know what you think of this, because it is a topic that's always coming up, both on BookTube and in the book world in general, and I'd love to know your thoughts. Do you like YA? Do you not? Why? What are your reasons? I'd just like to know. Let's have a little bit of a discussion down in the comments. So that's it for today's video. I hope you've enjoyed this first episode of I Think We Should Talk. I've got some more planned, which will hopefully be with you soon, and I will see you on Monday with a brand new video. Goodbye! End of the video bit. So, thank you all for watching. Let me know if you liked this type of a discussion video, if you're looking forward to more. I hope you enjoyed today's topic. I've got a video coming up on Monday. It is a review of one of the books, a book I've recently read. There's probably now one of my favourite books of all time, so look forward to that. It's going to be good. I hope you followed lovely weeks. Thank you to all new subscribers, and thank you all for watching, commenting, liking as per usual. It's lovely to talk to you guys in the comments. And yes, have a good weekend, and I'll see you on Monday. Goodbye.